gotta bear with me here. So here we have our body where there's a container. All you have to do is change that container to chat screen.
And that's it.
All right. Welcome back to another Tyler Time with Tyler and Tyler. I'm Tyler Trott and
I am Tyler M.
Okay, so today we will be going over an intermediate level atProtocol app called atChats. So here on my screen, you can see my two emulators. I'm talking between @Colin and @Barbara, who seem to be robots here. So I'm just going to say hello, so you can kind of see that it does work, and there's hello on the other emulator. And then Colin's going to say hi. Now, what's really cool about atChats is that if I leave the chat screen and I come back, the messages persist. And same thing for Barbara's emulator. So we will be, oh, I got hi twice.
Oh, that's weird.
So today we'll be going over how to code this. This is actually quite easy for a intermediate level, if you ask me. So Tyler, any words before we get started?
Nothing much. I guess just the same prerequisites as the Hello World application. Make sure you have your virtual environment running, namely the Docker containers. We did make a couple of recent changes to the virtual environment. So if you haven't already, make sure to pull the latest version by using, I think it's Docker Compose down to get rid of the images, Docker Compose pull to upgrade them, and then Docker Compose up-d to get them back running. And I guess the other thing that's pretty cool about this application, which you will find as Tyler Trott does the demo, is that final screen that we saw where we saw Colin and Barbara messaging one another. That's just one line of code, that entire screen right there. So you can definitely look forward to this demo app. So
that is my favorite part.
I'm going to say, back to you, Tyler.
Thank you. All right, so to kick off, we need to start with our first screen. I'm in the incomplete version of atChats, of course. And under the screens folder, we are in the first screen.dart file. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the file, this is where we'll be beginning our login function. So to start off the login function, we want to declare a string JSON data so that we can get our AES keys going from the SDK service and using the encrypt key pairs function using our @ sign.
I think you need to capitalize string, Tyler.
No, I do indeed. Sorry, too much Python.
No, you're good.
And now we're going to be using our client SDK service.onboard method using our @ sign with a capital S and then dot then value. What is the then, Tyler?
Yeah, so then is basically used for a method or function that returns a future object. And that value that you see in the parentheses, although we're not going to use it in this bracket, that's like the result of the future object that's returned from using onboard. So basically, it's like if it's successful, if you successfully authenticated, then you do the next thing, basically.
Yeah. And that next thing will be navigating to the next screen, or screen 2, as we call it. So push replacement named, and we use named so that we cannot navigate back to the login screen. And we're gonna, I think it's called second screen.id, and then a nice semicolon there. And then I forgot the parentheses, I deleted it earlier. Okay, now that is only for all of the other times that we have logged in other than the first time, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
So for the first time, we want to have a catch error where we have an error. I spelled error completely wrong. And then async, nice curly bracket. And now here's where we want to find, or sorry, this is where we catch the error that there are no private keys found in the key chain. So we're going to await client SDK service and then call the authenticate method using an @ sign. Oh, we need a capital S in that @ sign. @ sign using our JSON data, and then our decrypt key, which is, we'll get our decrypt key from our @demo data import using the AES key map, which is where all of the decryption keys are populated, and then a semicolon.
So you guys might notice that this login method is identical to what we did in the Hello World app. That's not a coincidence. All our demo apps, we use the exact same login procedure since we're relying on the virtual environment and using all the testable @ signs to log in. So if this looks familiar, there's a reason why.
Okay, and from here, we're gonna also navigate to the push replacement name. So I'm actually just gonna copy and paste that line.
Sounds good.
There's no point rewriting good code. And that is it for the login method. Very easy, very simple process. Okay, so we're going on to our second screen now here, and we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom again, where we have our two functions called get @ sign and initialize the chat. Very simple function. And then we have our set @ sign to chat with. And that is our one-liner, my favorite. Okay, so to start, we are going to declare a string. I did put a capital S this time.
Nicely done.
Current @ sign, which is equal to the await client SDK service dot get @ sign. Very simple. And I love the naming of all the functions too, because they do exactly what they say.
It's very intuitive. And you can check out the service file just to see all of these different methods associated with the client SDK service object. So in case you're curious and want to learn more.
So because we have a welcome message in our app for the currently authenticated @ sign, we're going to set state here for the active @ sign, and then make that equal to the current @ sign. And that is it for that. And from here, we are going to want to actually create a list of strings, which will be our @ signs, which are called all @ signs, capital S. And then we're going to call that, just like the decrypt keys, we're going to call that from our import @demo data, and then all @ signs, which we have a nice list of them. And then from here, all @ signs dot remove our current one that we are authenticated as, so active @ sign, and then a semicolon. Anything from there? Or
no, I mean, the idea right there is we don't want to be chatting with ourselves. That can throw a lot of bugs. So that's why we're removing the authenticated @ sign from all @ signs.
Okay, and now from here, we're going to call a set state again. And we are going to be doing @ signs equals all @ signs. And why are we doing this one again, Tyler?
Yeah, so if you scroll all the way to the top of that class, there is a variable or a list called @ signs, or there should be, yeah. It's currently set to null, but we set state and we assign it in that initialization method. And the whole point of that is we have that drop-down menu, if you recall from when we did the demo at the very beginning of this tutorial. And that drop-down is populated by this @ signs list.
Got it. Okay, now where am I from here? I think
you're almost done. There's like, I think one more thing.
We got to initialize the chat service.
Yeah.
And we initialize that by just saying exactly what I just did. So initialize, how do you spell that? That's such a hard word. Initialize chat service function. No, not
That's good.
And
so if you're wondering where this is coming from, this uses the atChatFlutter library that we've imported as one of our dependencies. It might be good to show that, by the way, Tyler, just what dependencies we're using.
The @service one?
Yeah, for this particular project. So if you can open the pubspec.yaml.
And the pubspec.yaml.
Yeah, right there.
And here it is.
Exactly. So yeah, the one that we're using most often for this application is atChatFlutter. You can see it's version 0.0. Yeah, exactly right there. And then the @demo data, we've used that a couple times just to get some of the credentials and information associated with all the testable @ signs. And There are a couple more atProtocol dependencies like the authentication helper and stuff, but I don't think we need to touch too much on those because
No.
yeah, they're in the background. All
Okay,
right.
so where was I? I was getting the @client instance.
Yeah, exactly.
Associated with our active @sign. So I need .@client, yes.
Looks good.
And then getting our active @sign, of course. And then we want to get our root domain, which is from mixed constants dot root domain, and then close bracket. Beautiful. Oh, I already had a bracket there. Oh man. Okay, and that's it for that function. Yep. Okay, so here comes the really difficult part for this function, set @sign to chat with. And what we have to do here is set chat. Oh, no, capital C, chat with @sign, and then getting the @sign to chat with. And that's it.
Yep,
So
same
hard.
thing as before, just pulling a method or a function from that chat Flutter library. So it's done. It's made very easy for you guys.
All right, so moving on to our third and final screen here. Very simple process. We're almost done. Hope you stay for this whole thing.
Fingers crossed.
So this is where the code gets extremely complex. So you got to bear with me here. So here we have our body where there's a container. All you have to do is change that container to chat screen.
And that's it. I mean, should we do a little explaining here? Like,
yeah, I think that would be best.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's like the same as the other functions we called in the second screen. Chat screen is already basically initialized for us. Like the purpose of that second screen is to basically populate all of the information that the @chat Flutter library needs to properly set up our chat screen. So we've already done all of that setup stuff previously before we navigate to the chat screen. So once we get to that chat screen, all we need to do is call that chat screen widget from that @chat Flutter library. And that's the reason why it's so simple.
Okay, now should I try and build this and run this on the emulator?
Yeah, why don't we try that?
All right, so here I have my incomplete version running on my emulator now.
Let's hope it works.
Yeah, let's go through the login process that we did using @Colin. We're gonna log in and
let's check out the logs to see. That looks good.
Oh, let's go.
All right.
All right, let's pick an @sign with the drop down.
Was it Barbara?
Yeah, it was Barbara.
Okay. And
did we log in with @Colin on this one?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, there we go. And the messages still persist.
That is so cool.
Looks like we implemented it correctly then. That's 2 for 2, Tyler. The Hello World and the chat app.
We are on a roll for sure. All right. Well, I think that's it for this Tyler time.
I think it is.
Cool.
All right.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. So that was once again our intermediate level application @chat. You can find this and all our other demo apps on the @demos repository in the public GitHub page of the app company. So feel free to clone that and try it out on your own.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.